Kira and welcome to another video. Despite my inability to believe that I'm actually saying this sentence out loud, today I'm going to be talking you through all of my favourite things from the month of November. November went surprisingly quickly because in the first week of this month we went back into a national lockdown here in England, and that lockdown is lasting until the 2nd of December, and so we're almost through it now. But honestly, I was really concerned going into a second lockdown in a more wintry month that this month was going to feel so long, and with less daylight hours and less things to do outside, I just really worried that this month was going to drag. But quite to the contrary, it's actually gone really quickly, and I feel like I literally just filmed my October favourites, but here we are again for the penultimate favourites of the year, and I have lots of lovely things to talk to you about today, so let's jump straight into it. So as always, I'm going to get started with my favourite book from the last month, and although technically festive celebrations don't officially start until the 1st of December, in my household Christmas starts basically the day after Halloween, and so I got started with some festive reads, and one of those reads ended up being my favourite book of November, and that was Christmas at the Island Hotel by Jenny Colgan. First of all, I'm just in love with this cover. It's so beautiful. I just think it's so festive and yet really like pastel-y. I feel like sometimes Christmas colours can be really like bright green, bright red, and just a little bit intense, whereas this one is just really delicate and beautiful with loads of golden detailing, and it is just gorgeous. So the cover was the first thing I loved about this book. But then I already had a really good feeling that I was going to love this one because last year I read a book prior to this one in a series which was called An Island Christmas, and so the author Jenny Colgan has written a series of books set on this remote island just off the coast of Scotland, and there are loads of different books set on this island, and so far I've only read the 2 Christmas ones and I love them both so much. I'm definitely planning to read some of the other ones which are not set at Christmas time because I just love the characters and the vibe of this book, but honestly I just think that the Christmas setting makes it even more enjoyable. Like I mentioned, it's set on a really small island, and so these books just have the coziest, most heartwarming, lovely, just like soul-enriching community small town vibes, and it just feels so lovely, and especially something that you look for at like this time of year, because to me, this book in particular is essentially a Hallmark movie in book form, which I think is amazing. Though I feel like I can't give away too many details about this book because it is part of a wider series, in this book we specifically focus on the launch and opening of a new fancy hotel on this island. This was left to one of the characters that we follow by his late husband, and so there's a lot of sort of sadness surrounding the launch of this hotel because it's the sort of last tie to this person that was very well loved, but it's also another way to kind of bring their spirits alive on the island and sort of like immortalize them in the form of this hotel. So there's a lot of pressure surrounding the launch of this hotel, and also trying to make sure that it is in keeping with the island and is sort of accepted by all of the other islanders, because there's a little bit of a divide about whether or not this hotel is in keeping with the rest of the style of the island. We also have lots of other themes such as sort of dealing with breaking free from the sort of boundaries and expectations of your parents. We have the theme of going into the world of parenthood and not necessarily taking to it in the same way that you expected, and as well, like I mentioned, grief. So there are lots of serious themes in this, but it's not a book which feels heavy or sad. It's just a book which I think really combines grit and those more serious life experiences that lots of people can relate to the lovely, happy and heartwarming theme of Christmas and how Christmas brings people together. And in this book in particular, compared to the one that was before it, An Island Christmas, I found that this one was really funny, as well as the like core cast of characters from the island. We also have a few other people, including a really grumpy French chef and a rich Norwegian prince, who are sort of added into this cast of characters and are very comedic characters. And I just think that that combination of the serious with the heartwarming, with the happy and the funny, just makes this incredible Christmas film-like experience in a book, and it is like nothing I've ever read before. It's not like a groundbreaking novel by any means, but it is just so cozy and so lovely, and I think it's just a really nice reading experience at this time of year. And then from what was a lovely but not necessarily groundbreaking book into a completely life-changing food experience, this month I tried the Nomo caramel filled choc drops, and they have changed my life. Literally, I don't think I have ever been as happy as I have been when I bit into the first one of these caramel chocolates. They are amazing. Ever since going vegan nearly 5 years ago now, one thing I've noticed about vegan chocolates is that there's not a great range of chocolates that have different textures. Lots of different options for like flavoured chocolates and things that have different like tastes and all that kind of stuff. You know, you can have chocolate, caramel, nuts, orange, raspberry, whatever it is that you might want. There's probably a flavoured chocolate out there, but there wasn't really any differences in texture, if that makes sense. So every time you get a caramel chocolate, it would just be like a solid caramel flavoured chocolate, and I never ever came across anything that was filled with a liquid caramel. And ever since I was a child and could eat chocolate, caramel chocolate has been my favourite. I am such a sucker for a Cadbury's caramel, or I was before I went vegan, and I've missed that ever since. And this tastes exactly like Cadbury caramel, and honestly my heart and my taste buds just sung with joy when I bit into the first one of these because it was so amazing. So for anyone else out there who is a fan of like caramel chocolates, or specifically Cadbury caramel, because I love Cadbury caramel so much, I'd highly recommend these. They are so good, and I'm going to be buying about 15 boxes to last me through the Christmas period, I reckon, because honestly they are just so good. And then moving on to my favourite product from the last month. This month I kind of splashed out and got something that was a little bit extravagant, but I just really wanted it because they look so cool, and that was this difficult to pick up moon lamp. It is so beautiful. It's basically like a 3D printed wireless moon lamp. It can be either this like orangey, more yellowy colour, or a more white light, and then also you can change the brightness and everything. And it's very easy to turn on with your nose as well as your hands in case you're otherwise incapacitated by holding cups and moons. So it's actually just a really lovely lamp, basically. There's nothing more to say about it other than the fact that it obviously doesn't look quite as impressive here in daylight, but at night time it literally looks like the moon and is such a lovely lamp to read by, and just adds a really nice soft light into a space because the bulb isn't exposed and it's obviously wrapped by this like moony plastic. It essentially just feels so like soft and gentle, so it's not a harsh light, which is great for protecting the eyes. And I mean, like, obviously I'm talking about all the benefits of it, but essentially I just bought this because I wanted a lamp that looked like the moon, and I love it. I think it's super cool, and I will link down below the shop that I got it from because I mentioned this in a vlog a little while ago as well, and I know a few people were asking because it does just look so impressive at night time, and I just think it's such a cool thing to have. So a little bit of an extravagant, wild, and probably unnecessary purchase, but one that I'm definitely happy to have on my desk. Next up, I have a YouTube channel that I would love to talk to you about. This is a channel which I found almost at this time last year, ironically. I binge watched all of their content as soon as I found it because I was obsessed with this channel, and then of course they kind of faded into the background a little bit because once you've gone through the backlog of all of their content, you don't have as much stuff to binge anymore. So I've just been watching their content throughout the year, but almost as if by magic I had kind of missed a few of their videos for like a few weeks in a row, and then they started getting suggested to me more and more, and so pretty much a year after I first found them, I found myself back with loads of their videos to binge again, and I have been loving them so much. And the channel I'm talking about is Elsa Ray and Baron. Elsa and Baron are a couple based in America, and they are full-time travellers. So they live in their Scamp trailer, and a Scamp is basically like this super cool looking retro trailer that they have converted into like a full-time home. It's attached to the back of their car, and they basically travel around America in this trailer along with their little dog, a Shiba Inu called Camp, who is so cute. I'm literally obsessed. And Elsa and Baron are just so interesting to watch because they are so incredible at videography. They make their content look so cinematic, but it's also just so interesting to see someone living such an alternative way of life. They've recently been traveling in some areas that I am desperate to visit. Specifically, they've been to Portland and the Pacific Northwest in general, as well as Colorado, which I really want to visit. And I just think that they make it just looks so amazing. Obviously they just showcase the natural beauty that exists in these places, but it just looks so amazing that they are kind of untethered and can just travel around and live such a simple but also so enriched life. And I just think that they are such an amazing advertisement for anti-materialism, and they really do highlight that when your life is kind of boiled down into one small trailer, where of course you can't have loads and loads of products and items and just own loads of things because you don't have anywhere to put it, you can still be just as happy, if not happier, than you would be in a house filled with things, because really it isn't material things that bring us happiness, it's experiences and company and of course nature as well. They really do make you want to drop everything, sell all your things and just go out traveling and just live a much simpler life, because they really do show that, like I said, it's just the simple things that can bring you the most joy. And I just think that they make it look incredible. Like I said, they're also incredible videographers. Their content is beautiful to watch, and I just think it's so amazing to see them living such a free and happy life. They do so many cool outdoor pursuits like archery and kayaking. They obviously travel a lot. They do winter camping, they do hiking, there's so many things, mountain biking, all kinds of things, and they just have such an adventurous and fun lifestyle, and I just think it's so cool and so fun to watch. I'd also highly recommend, if you're looking for a particular video to start with, the video that I first found them with, which was one that they filmed basically this time last year because it was Thanksgiving for them, and essentially they were in, I think, Montana at the time, and there was a massive snowstorm, and they were basically stuck in this trailer on Thanksgiving, and it looked so cool, and it was so interesting to see how they dealt with that like winter camping, and honestly it was amazing. So I'll link that particular video down below for you to check out because it was amazing. But just in general, absolutely love watching their content. It's so intriguing to see such a cool and alternative lifestyle, and they make it look incredible. Next up we have a TV show or film that I've been loving lately, and this is actually something that I came to watch almost at the end of the month, and I fell deep into a hole of obsession with this particular show, and it is The Crown on Netflix. Anyone else who is a avid user of TikTok might also have fallen into the royal algorithm on TikTok. I have been getting so much content specifically about Charles and Diana because the newest season of The Crown, season 4, is focusing on Charles and Diana's marriage and all of the drama that came along with that. And all of those TikToks looked so good and made me really intrigued about The Crown. So I have gone back and started watching from the very beginning. I managed to watch the first season in basically 2 days, and I am honestly obsessed. The quality of the acting and just the production value is amazing, and I'm not someone who is particularly like enamored by the royals or interested, or at least I didn't think I was until I got into The Crown, and now I am like so invested. It is incredible. And with that in mind, I also have a favourite song to share with you all. Again, going back to the wonderful world of TikTok, one song in particular that has been used in a lot of the montages of Diana and her character in The Crown is Edge of 17 by Stevie Nicks, and I love that song so much. It's incredible. So that is technically one song that I want to talk to you about, but in particular, another song related to that I have been loving is the mashup Edge of Midnight, which is a combination of Edge of 17 by Stevie Nicks and also Midnight Sky by Miley Cyrus. And last month I was also raving about another Miley Cyrus cover, which was Heart of Glass, and Miley is on a roll with these cool like retro comebacks, and this one was so intriguing to have that like combo of obviously a really new song and then an old classic and these two incredible voices, and it was amazing. So loving Edge of 17, especially in the context of TikTok and Princess Diana, and then also absolutely loving that combination mashup. So definitely check out both of those songs if you haven't already, because they are top notch. And then the final thing on my November favourites is a favourite podcast. Now, first of all, to shamelessly self-promote, I might as well mention here that I actually started a podcast this month along with my friend Em. We started the We're Spinning Plates podcast, and it is a podcast that is all about basically spinning loads of plates, being busy in your 20s, balancing work in a 9-to-5 job, with creative side hustles, and also all of the other things that you might have going on, whether that is friendships, romances, family relationship, all kinds of things, and basically just all of the intricacies and details that come with spinning all of those plates. It's also quite a personal podcast, so we do weekly roundups, talk about our own experiences, delve into a key topic of the week. So the topics that we've covered so far have been productivity in lockdown and how to deal with the pressure to be productive all of the time, and then also how we actually cope with having a lot of things on and how to make sure that you don't get overwhelmed when you're dealing with a busy schedule. But we are of course open to loads of different topics, and then each episode concludes with an agony aunt section where we deal with some of your questions, dilemmas, and burning questions. I said questions twice. Essentially, we answer questions in that segment. So it's a really, really fun podcast. Em and I are so passionate about it, and it has gotten a really great reception so far, and I'm so excited that some of you seem to be enjoying it. So that is one podcast that I would love to mention here. It's definitely my favourite because I'm loving creating it. But then a podcast that I have been listening to as well that isn't my own is one that I can't believe hasn't actually been featured in a monthly favourites yet. I don't know how it has escaped these videos, but that podcast is Gilmore Guys. The Gilmore Guys podcast is a podcast that is run by two hosts, Kevin and Demi, who are both watching Gilmore Girls. Kevin is a long-time Gilmore Girls fan who watched the show as it was coming out, and Demi has never seen the show. And so they basically watch and react to each episode throughout the entire 7 seasons of the series, and essentially just like talk through the entire show. And it's so interesting to see that like balance of someone who is coming back to the show and reflecting on changing opinions and kind of knows what's coming, and then is able to kind of like see all of the like hints and developments of characters, versus someone who is going into the show completely blind. And it is also just such a fun and funny podcast. It's very hectic and very, very wild to listen to, which I think is very much in keeping with the Gilmore Girls style anyway. It's a bit wacky, it's a bit out there, but it's just so fun to listen to, and I absolutely love the hosts. I started listening to this podcast back in like August, I think, because it was recommended to me here on YouTube, and I've been listening to it ever since and absolutely loving it. But for some reason it hasn't been mentioned in these favourites yet, and it absolutely deserves to be. So if you are a fan of Gilmore Girls, or if you're watching it for the first time like Demi is, then I definitely recommend checking it out because it is so hilarious. And that brings my November favourites to an end, the second to last monthly favourites of the year, which is absolutely wild to say, but I for one am very excited to see what December brings. I love Christmas so much that I know that December is going to be a jam-packed monthly favourites, and I might have to give myself a little bit of leeway and have multiple favourites for lots of these categories, because I know there are going to be so many things, especially food, that I'm going to want to talk to you about. But without further ado, if you've enjoyed any of the things that I've mentioned today, definitely let me know in the comments down below, and if you have any other favourites you'd like to let me know about, especially podcasts, TV shows, music, or vegan food, I would absolutely love to hear, and I'd love to check them all out as well. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.